Moving on to our first discussion, talking about rape, just like we said earlier, we're all aware that it is a heinous crime and it violates the mind and human independence. It robs the victim of the ability to choose when and with whom a person wants to have a consensual relationship. Now, the Criminal Code of Conduct, the Penal Code Act, the VAP Act, and the Child's Rights Act all prescribe that anyone who commits the offense of rape is liable to life imprisonment. Yet, the trend still persists, unabatedly, and further worsening, school enrollment rate of girls as well. Now, today in the studio, we'll be taking this discussion further as we have a guest with us, and her name is Anyebiet Akpan. She's a Nigerian media personality, and she was a victim of rape also. She joins us right here in the studio. Good morning, Anyebiet, and welcome to Daybreak Extra.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, to start off, right? Can you share with us your experience? Talk about it. As a victim.
Okay, so mine happened many years ago, say 2019. Sorry, 2011, even though I started talking about it in 2019. It was an experience. I think that's how I should just put it. So it was an experience that left me in guilt for a long time because I kept feeling I caused it. I kept feeling I should have, if I was not where that thing happened, that maybe it wouldn't have happened to me. And that's because I was raped in a friend's house. Oh. So gunmen broke into the house and I was raped by 3 of them.
Oh, wow.
And I remember passing on, like, as at the time the third person molested me, like I passed on, and I didn't know what was happening until I ended up in the hospital, and that was it. And I was still in the university at the time. I remember leaving my sister's house that evening to go to a friend's house, and I was supposed to be in school. So part of the reason I kept feeling guilty because I was supposed to be in school at the time. And that happened. I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anybody. But the friend's family that I was with took me to the hospital. They took care of me. They were the only ones who knew what happened. So as at the time I decided to start talking about it, it was 2019, like I said. My sister was shocked because she trained me in school. I was under a roof, And
she had no idea what happened.
And she had no idea. So I was traumatized. Like, I was living in shame. Like, I felt something terrible had happened to me. I lost my confidence. I lost my self-worth. I didn't think anything good could come out of me, for that kind of thing to happen to me.
But then how did it feel, finally opening up and talking about it?
Well, I think that's the best thing that ever happened to me. And
would you say it helped you heal faster?
Yes, as at the time I started talking about it, I just realized that I wasn't in it alone. Like I realized that there were a lot of people that were also struggling, having my kind of struggle that were going through, even though maybe theirs may have happened in a different way, but they were also having the same struggle. So we shared the same struggle, we shared the same. So it just liberated me from that shame, It gave me confidence, gave me a voice. So I felt okay. So speaking out could actually help other people, who also are too ashamed to come out to speak, especially in the environment we are in. A lot of people just feel, they write you off when they know your story. a lot happens. Like people see you and sometimes they're not even talking about you, but you feel because they know your story that they're actually talking about you. So yes, so speaking out helps you. It helps heal.
So, sorry, in the days and months after these, and you said you didn't talk about it to anyone, so you got through it on your own. Did you have any coping mechanisms, or did you just roll with the flow?
Okay. Days and months. I remember seeing every man I see on the road, like the person who raped me, like the face I could remember. The third person's face I really can't remember, but even as I'm talking to you, I still have an image of the first two, you know. So I remember seeing every man on the street. Once I see any man passing, I'm like, looks like that's the person. Looks, because their face were not masked, you know. So I had to deal with all of that. I had to deal with not wanting to be in any relationship because I felt men were beasts. I had all of that struggles for years.
But do you think if you had a support system during that period, if you actually had a support system or some coping mechanisms, do you think it would have been easy for you or easier?
Yes, it would have been easier. But how do you even get someone to help you when you're not even speaking out, when you're not telling anybody? Because the people who actually knew about it, they just felt they needed to take me to the hospital. So I think I was in the hospital for a couple of days, almost a week. And then they really took care of me. They ran all the necessary tests that needed to be, you know, after that time, I think everybody just felt, let's not expose her to, you know, nobody talked about it again after then.
So they didn't even try to report the issue, considering that it was gunmen that actually broke in. Did they come to rob?
Yes, they came to rob.
So the issue wasn't even reported to the police or any authority?
It was reported to the police. It was reported to the police, and nothing happened after that time. You know how you file a case in, and they say they are carrying out investigations, and that was it. That was how it ended. Nothing happened afterwards.
All right, so you said you've been speaking about this now since 2019.
2019.
And you've come in contact with other sexual assault victims as well.
Yes.
So, so generally, do you think the trend generally now, is it the awareness being created now by people actually coming out and speaking about these things, and some even cases being taken to court and whatnot? What do you think it's doing something to stem the tide?
Yes, I think so. I think yes, it's going a long way to. I'm trying to rephrase your question now. Do I think it's doing something to stigmatize the victim?
Not to make it easier on victims.
Okay. Yes, sure. You know, it's like how when I went through that, I didn't hear a lot of people talk about it. Maybe that would have made me know that, oh, so I'm not alone in this. I think God really healed me, if I must say. And then when I received that healing, I decided that it was time for me to reach out to other people. And yeah, so I think if we're able to create more awareness, it will help. This thing happened, I think last month, somebody reached out to me, told me about a maid who was raped by her boss. And then that the girl is crying. So I told him, send the girl's number to me. Let me call her. He said no. The person who called me said no, that the girl insisted she doesn't want anybody to know about it.
So how do you actually help these girls?
Okay, because I'm not a medical person, I'm not a certified psychologist or anything like that. I hand them over to.
Okay.
Yes, so like I'm having an event later today, an online event, virtual event. So I already had spoken to medical persons. So once we have those victims coming, I refer them to those people, and then also to people who can mentor them and then
help them. All right. Do you think the fear of not being believed or being blamed for the rape is a major reason why a lot of girls don't come out to, talk about it?
I think it's part of the reason. Like in my case, I should have been in school. I went to a friend's house. And yes, that fear of, is that what we sent you to do? Is that where you should have been? So you find out that you've beaten yourself up first of all, before you even start facing what the reality of what has happened to you. So yes, that fear is there. That fear is there. People get blamed. Young women, I've heard people say it's because of the way they dress. It's because of what she's wearing. It's because of how she, she's always with men. People say those kind of things. So the fear of, what would they say? I caused it. Some people even die with that, I caused it, with the guilt of thinking that they caused it on themselves, or they brought that shame to them.
Usually incidents like this, we look at it, it's twofold. There's a physical aspect, that's physical assault itself, and then the PTSD that follows, and that's the mental aspect of the whole situation. Just like you mentioned, once things like this happens, you go to the hospital, you get checked out for 2-3 days, and that's that, and nobody follows up on that. Do you think we're actually doing enough on the mental side of things, how people actually heal? Do you think we're actually doing enough? Do you have structures in place that can actually deal with these kind of situations?
I don't think we're doing enough, really. I don't. Take, for instance, the maid I just talked about. From the story, her boss raped her and then traveled. So she was left in the house with her madam that she couldn't talk to. And remember, she's going through stuff, but because she can't tell this person. So I'm sure the madam is wondering, why are you acting like this around the house? She doesn't know what's going through her mind, what she is going through as a person. So how does she even take permission from the madam to say she wants to go to the hospital? That's if she even has the money to go to the hospital. So I don't think we're doing enough. I think there's more to do.
Okay, now according to Amnesty International, right, rape has actually been declared a state of emergency in Nigeria, but according to them, it has proven to be an empty declaration, because according to them, that nothing has been done so far to protect women and girls. Do you think same?
I wouldn't say nothing has been done, because NGOs, several persons, they are beginning to come, out to talk about this and create awareness. I don't think nothing has been done, but I think more can be done.
Do you think these men are actually punished enough? Because I know that do you think these women get justice and the men are actually being punished enough? Because I actually know that the rape law in Nigeria, when a man actually rapes a woman, then he has to spend a lifetime in prison.
Okay. Had he been punished enough? No. No, they are not. Another thing is, how do you even know? I think everything boils down to speaking up. Because if you don't speak up, you won't get to know who the perpetrators are.
Okay. All right. So I think we would have to go on a quick break. When we come back, we will continue this discussion. Please do stay.
From all around the world,
our news is factual and concise.
giving you fresh news as it breaks.
Nigerians in the diaspora have the
Now, one tricycle rider feared death.
Troops fighting Boko Haram and ISWAP.
Although the government has made repeated commitments to make the country attractive.
When I sit on the news desk every day,
There's a deep sense of responsibility that overwhelms me.
a responsibility to deliver a message to our viewers.
In the most professional way possible.
Knowing that there's a lot of fake news flying around mainstream and social media daily,
We owe it to the public a responsibility to bring well-researched and responsible reportage to the table.
with Trust TV,
You're sure of a news and documentary channel you can trust.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. Now still talking about rape. Now a lot of people actually seem to think that the law, especially a lot of women, they seem to think that the law isn't on their side as regards, rape cases, and this is the reason why they actually feel so. Now, according to the law, now rape can only be committed by a man to a woman, forgetting the fact that even men get raped, yes, and by women and men at the same time. I mean, we've heard stories of boys who were, sexually assaulted by their teachers and everything. And it also has to involve that, a man raping a woman. And, in this case, the law doesn't even acknowledge male rape at all. And then a victim of rape needs to establish that it actually occurred, right? Corroboration or validation of the crime needs to be established as well, and proof must be provided that consent was not given. So when a lady is in shock, right, in that moment, and she goes to probably the police or security agency to report this particular act, how does she provide proof?
Yeah, well, I think it's something that needs to be looked at. The law itself needs to really be looked at, because just like you pointed out, there are certain areas of the law that the law doesn't cover. You understand? What about the men that actually undergo go through sexual assault. You understand? And how you say the burden of proof is on the person that has been raped.
Of course.
So, do we have rape kits in the hospitals when we go there? Do the police have rape kits? Can they be able to do that? Can they be able to? How can you verify that unless you have it on camera? So let's go back to the earlier discussion that we were having. We were talking about whether the justice system is actually helping in things like this. We have heard some cases about where people were caught, accused of rape, taken to court, and then at the end of the day, you don't hear anything about it. You know. So do you think that also contributes to people not wanting to speak up because they put themselves out there, they put themselves out there, they report these cases, and then at the end of the day, nothing happens?
Yes, that also could be a major reason, because if I take the bold step to say I want to report something terrible that has happened to me, because take it or not, rape is something terrible, like something serious that has happened to me, and then, you know, maybe to the authorities, and then nothing absolutely happens. Because what happened, especially if you're a public figure, so to speak, it will be everywhere at a time, and then after that nothing is heard again about it. You won't hear anything, nothing is done about it, you know. But if you're maybe just
okay, now
anybody,
some cases are actually reported, right? Some cases that are reported, you find out that the victims are being pressured into, you know, taking it out of court and, you know, settling. The parents usually pressure, you know, their wards, yes, to take it out of court, and, you know, they collect the settlement out of court in order to keep the case quiet, especially, you know, for example, when the person is a famous person, or, you know, is a rich person and doesn't want his name smeared. You know, a lot of children who have actually been, I've been involved in some cases with some kids who were raped, female, like, children who were actually raped, and the parents opted for out of court settlement because they didn't want, you know, people around to know what had actually happened, and they wanted to keep their names away. You know how from Nigerians
kind of
say,
stigma.
oh, don't spoil my name, or don't disgrace my name, and all that. So what do you think about that out of court settlement?
I don't know, I feel anybody involved in that kind of thing should please stop, because it's like I think it's like selling your birthright. I mean, the child deserves justice. I mean, what would the money do really to something that has happened to the child?
So you've worked with victims of rape since you started talking about this. So I just generally, what do you think, which area do you think we should really focus on? Is it on advocacy? You understand? Is it on advocacy? Is it on dealing with the PTSD after that? Is it trying to make pressure, to put pressure on the authorities to repeal laws and whatnot? What do you think? Which area do you think, as a society, we should be focusing on right now?
I think we should find a way to balance both, focusing on helping the victim now to get medical care, you know, to talk to the right people, the appropriate people that they need to talk to, and also getting them to speak up as well. Yes, because I found that once you're able to speak up, it does a lot to you, you know, so.
Okay, now remember the case of Karen Hapok here in Lugbe, who was raped by a teacher, and, you know, after a few weeks, you know, she died and all that. Now, do you think the media is doing enough to report rape?
Yes, I think so. I think they're trying, but it can be better. It can be better.
Okay, now with the rise of sexual violence in Nigeria and all that, we've been hearing a lot about them, you know, in the media and all that. Do you think it's the crime that is actually increasing, or it's the media that is actually doing more to bring it out in the open now?
The media is playing a major role, yes, but I think the crime is increasing as well. Because rape is something that happens under your nose. If nobody tells you, you won't know it just happened. Take, for instance, the girl I just talked about. The person that reported the case to me is the neighbor, lives in the same compound. And that's because the girl is close enough to talk to that one person. So even when I told him to send the girl's number to me, the girl insisted she doesn't want to blow the situation out of proportion because she's afraid, she's scared. You
Okay,
know,
so how do you think women can protect or defend themselves from being raped?
Well, how can they be helped? How can they protect themselves? Because if I say dress appropriately, don't go to where you don't have to go. It happens even when you're all covered. It happens.
Even someone very close to you can.
Someone very close to you can take advantage of you. So, I really, honestly, I just would say that pray. Let's pray that God protects us and, from all evil.
Okay, so would you call yourself a rape victim or a rape survivor? Because
I'm a rape survivor.
Okay, why? What's the difference between being the victim and a survivor?
I think the victim is somebody who is still wallowing in the shame and in this trauma. I've been healed from all of that a long time ago, so I'm in position right now to help and give a voice to others who are currently going through it.
Okay, and thank you so much. Thank you so much for taking time out to come and share your story with us. And before we actually wrap up, do you have any advice for any of the young girls out there?
Okay, the young girls who had gone through rape, this is what I will say to you: talk to someone. The worst thing you can do to yourself is to go through this and then keep quiet. Once you start talking about it, you will just find that there's healing that comes with you being able to speak up. And remember that evil thrives in secrecy, so anything that you keep a secret keeps hurting you, and hurts other people. It might get to a point where you want to do the same thing to another person. So speak up.
All right, thank you so much, Anyebiet Akman, for joining us on Daybreak Extra today. She is a media personality and also a rape survivor. We'll be back after this break.